Hi, welcome back to another edition of History in Your Own Backyard. I'm Danielle, and today we're in downtown Cincinnati at Sycamore Place. We'll be talking with Maggie and Todd. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. So what can you tell us about the building that we're in?
Well, Maggie's the current property manager. I was here during the construction process, the renovation process back in 2002. So the building was originally built in 1888. It was the Krippendorf Dittmann Shoe Company. We purchased the building in 2000 and renovated it. It was prior to our purchase. The Board of Elections, Social Services, Department of Labor, Child Support, those things ran out of this office for the Hamilton County for several years. We renovated it. We got our hands on it in really bad condition. Actually, Mayor Lucan at the time said that this was the ugliest building in Cincinnati, and no one would argue with him. It was terrible. But we had a vision for some residential revitalization downtown. So 2 years later, the building opened 2002, 105 residential apartments inside, and ushering in a kind of a new wave of residents back to downtown Cincinnati.
So now what are some of the unique elements of the building?
An interesting conversion from a factory, no way to get around what it was. I think the challenges that our developing partner, Alnair Incorporated, had was how to retrofit a warehouse, a shoe factory, into loft warehouse apartments. So it was challenging, a lot of brick.
Now, when someone walks in and they make a left, they will see this machine. Can you tell us what that is?
The steam engine, that's actually the original steam engine that powered some of the equipment in the building. So it was the painters who did the exterior and interior paint job for us found it in the basement in just terrible condition and thought it would be a wonderful feature to put in the lobby. So they craned it up here and renovated it. It's a beautiful 1850 steam engine. From what we understand, if you were to hook it up to a water supply and regulate its pressures, it would start running again today. So it's a beautiful piece of history for sure.
And then downstairs, it's almost like a tunnel slash could be used for a haunted house.
Dungeon.
Tell us a little bit about that.
So the original coal furnace was down in the basement. Just it's monstrous, and that's what powered the steam engine. But you can see how challenging buildings like this were to put up in the 1880s. Limestone foundation, subterranean dug down, and then they built this thing on top of it with literally with mules and horses and a lot of physical labor. But it just shows you what challenges they faced in the 1800s when they had to build things like this. During the renovation process, they found this old vault door down here, and no one really knew the history of it or what was in it. So they cut the door open, and then they find the secondary door, and they think there's going to be gold from Spanish ships or something, and we open it, and we just found some old receipts and some old paper. But I think everybody just assumed that this was where, when the building was the Board of Elections and the Social Services offices, this is where they kept their important documents, ballots, things like that. So I think the guys on the renovation crew thought that they had struck gold, but really they just found a big, heavy door and an old couple receipts. So some of the interesting research that we found, our friends at Nair, some of our partners that really were passionate about the history of the building, found that large groups of business people would pool money together to try to reduce the cost of bringing materials down here, and they would build buildings in the same time period from the same pool of material. So you'll notice that there are kind of areas that pop up in the city that kind of came up at the same time within the same decade, and that's probably the reason they weren't able to go to Home Depot in 1880 and buy lumber. They had to have it shipped down the river. So we found a lot of interesting things like that.
Now, if you had to compare this building to any of the other buildings that are down here, what would you say is the thing that makes this building stand out?
Well, it's I think similar to a lot of our old 1800s construction in the city. The East State Lofts building right across the street from us is a little bit later, early 1900s, but you see some of the same architectural features, the limestone and the natural brick archways, and it's 7 stories in 1888 was a pretty tall building, so it was probably challenging for them to figure out the architectural methods to keep something here for 100 or 200 years. So it's really a source of pride to try to keep and maintain some of these older structures, to reuse them as best we can. Not to say that every building in the city should be saved, but there are a lot of buildings that still have a long, useful life, and that's, I think, what we tried to accomplish here.
So Maggie, what would you like to add about this building?
We are extremely proud of the overall look and feel of Sycamore Place. We have 26 different floor plans, all of which are extremely unique. Some of my favorite features are the large windows, the exposed brick, you name it, there's something for everyone in this building.
Absolutely. And you're right here in the heart of downtown, so I can only imagine that a lot of the residents probably like being down here, correct?
Certainly. The location can't be beat. You're right in the middle of the business district. It's extremely convenient for a lot of really big companies around the corner. We have Procter & Gamble, we have Deloitte. A lot of our residents can walk to where they need to be.
And what's your favorite element, if you had to pick one, about the building itself, outside of the windows? I know you named the windows. Do you have another favorite element?
It's uniqueness.
Okay.
I would have to say just the fact that no two apartments are the same. Everyone's home is uniquely theirs.
Thanks again for tuning in to today's edition of History in Your Own Backyard. Today we spent time in downtown Cincinnati at Sycamore Place. We talked with Todd and Maggie. We certainly hope that you enjoyed learning all about it. Remember, travel slowly and stop often. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.